It was recently announced that Ben Stiller will not be back to direct any episodes of Severance Season 3. If you're like me and maybe other people on the internet, this caused a little bit of panic in you. Severance very much feels like Ben Stiller and Dan Erickson's beautiful child. He feels like such an integral part of Severance. What does this mean and how do we feel about it? If you're new around here, my name is Miscellaneous Gab. I like to tell stories about stories, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this channel, and leave a comment below with how you're feeling about this news. So first things first, when is Severance Season 3 supposed to come out? And unfortunately, we don't know. I wish I had an insider's perspective on this, but I'm here with you guys. According to Patricia Arquette, we might have to wait as long as we did between seasons 1 and 2, which was about 3 years. It's already in production, but there is no release date assigned to it yet. Next question is, why is Ben Stiller not returning as a director? He is citing a busy schedule. Man has got a lot of projects, and Ben Stiller either just turned 60 or is about to turn 60, and that is causing him to reevaluate how he spends his precious time. Like I said, I was very nervous when I heard this news. I think because season 2 tended to be divisive in certain areas, to feel like a core part of the show was quote unquote walking away was very scary. However, after that initial panic died down, I realized that he's not walking away completely. He's simply walking from the directorship into that executive producer position. Ben Stiller went on to clarify, yes, it's been full-time the last 8 months working on season 3 and I'm not going anywhere. We have incredible directors and a team that creates the show. I love directing it and I look forward to at some point again for sure. I feel like season 3 is going to be the best yet as we continue to evolve. That's some good news. He's been hard at work for the last 8 months. So even before season 2 even ended or was even midway through, they've introduced new directors throughout season 2, particularly Jessica Lee Gagne, who directed episode 7, Chikai Bardo. This is an award-winning episode. I think she did a fantastic job and it was a fan favorite for season 2, but I also think it's important to note that it was a departure from the tone of Severance. Season 7 felt like a timeless, fever dream, beautiful, tragic situation, and it didn't have as much of the quirkiness and even humor and stylistic elements as a typical Severance episode, which is okay for some episodes, but not for all of them. Ben Stiller seems to have quite a hand in shaping the narrative and maybe even the visual style, the trajectory of the show. I know that him and Dan Erickson have certain places they want to go for the show. Certain things are fixed and other elements of the show are kind of changing as we go. It's important to note that Ben Stiller is still responsible for directing over half of the episodes of Severance so far between season 1 and 2, which I think is very crucial in setting the tone for the show. So let's take a look at which episodes Ben Stiller has directed. In terms of season 1, Ben Stiller was the director of episode 1, The Good News About Hell, episode 2, Half Loop, episode 3, In Perpetuity. Episodes 4 through 6 were directed by Aoife McArdle, and then Ben Stiller came back to direct Defiant Jazz episode 7, episode 8, What's for Dinner, and episode 9, The We Are. Now, if you follow my channel, I'm very deep into my Severance season 1 rewatch, and I can honestly say the episodes that Ben Stiller directed were the best episode. There is kind of a lull in the middle of the season, which are unfortunately the episodes that this other director directed. Of course, they're not bad. Season 1 was still a 10 out of 10 season. However, it's hard to know if this is purely because of the director or also the writer. It's no coincidence that these episodes that Ben Stiller directed were also written by Dan Erickson, who is also crucial in shaping the narrative and the style and the tone of the show. That episode 4 through 6, those 3 episode lull, were also written by various other writers. Let's take a look at what Ben Stiller directed in season 2. He directed episode 1, Hello, Miss Cobell, and interestingly enough, it was only this episode and episode 10, Cold Harbor, where we see that duo of Ben Stiller directing and Dan Erickson writing. For all the other episodes, it was either a different director or a different writer on each one. Ben Stiller also directed episode 3, Who is Alive, as well as episode 4, Woe's Hollow, a particular favorite of mine. Episode 8, Sweet Vitriol, which seems to be the most divisive episode of Severance ever. Some people love it, some people hated it. I talk a lot about this in my episode 8 review, so go check that out if you haven't. And then of course, episode 10, Cold Harbor, which is where Dan Erickson came back and joined him as a writer. In season 2, I would say that it was a lot less of the Ben Stiller mark in terms of the best episodes. It seems like he directed some fan favorites, but he also directed some fan not favorites, but even just some more setup episodes such as episode 1 and 3. If you know anything about my channel, you know I absolutely love Severance. I'm obsessed, super fan over here. So I will continue to be excited about anything this show does. I truly think this show is one of a kind. And if you're telling me that Ben Stiller will not direct, but they have some great talent to line up and that he will still have a hand in shaping the arc of the season, as well as with Dan Erickson as a writer and showrunner, I am going to make my peace with that and be okay with it. The only thing that I really hope that they don't do is create so many more episodes that were deviations from the tone and the quirkiness and the style that we know and love. I understand that you can't do it forever, but the reason why Chikai Bardo stuck out so well is because it was a one-off. It was this huge reveal where we are going in and out of the present and the past. We're learning huge bombshell updates, putting pieces together while still having tons of confusion about what's actually going on with the Gemma. And even though so much was answered, there was still so much waiting. I'm still a huge fan of that episode, but I probably would get over that style very quickly if that became the norm of either the visual tone as well as just the overall cadence and pace of the episode. That's all I have for you today in terms of this announcement. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this update and any thoughts on when season 3 will come out, as well as your biggest predictions. I've gone over these in depth in my season 3 predictions video, and I talk about season 3 predictions in every episode of my Severance rewatch. Also, I have a Patreon with amazing, wonderful supporters on there. So if you want to join the community and support my work, please head over. I'd like to give a special shout out to all of my Waffle Party VIP members who make this content possible. Thank you so much to Marlon Yamzon, Dolores Abernathy, Daniel Ariano, Bo Dierker, Matt Winbury, Jim Rodney, and Chris Bazeski. And thank you to all my other paid members. Look out for my next Severance season 1 rewatch coming out soon, and I will see you next time. Remember, whatever you do, don't get severed. Bye.